Are you ready? It's time to geek out. It's Weather for Weather Geeks time, the midweek edition. It's Wednesday evening, the 9th day of May, 2018. And our weather today was fantastic once again. A little on the toasty side this afternoon, but hey, what else is new? We've had warmer than average temperatures every day so far this month. 82 this afternoon and 9.3 degrees above average. It's a pretty impressive number through the first 9 days of the month. And, you know, looking at the forecast for the next several days, I really think that Friday and perhaps Sunday will be our only cooler than average days or day through the first half of May. I think this May is going to go into the record books as a warmer than average one. You can almost put that in the bank at this point, because while there will be some cooler days, I don't see any sort of huge significant cooling trend that's going to knock those numbers down anytime real soon. All right, when I recorded this video a little after 7 this evening, a dying line of showers approaching I-77 at this point. I think these are going to continue to peter out, and the rest of the daylight hours this evening will be just fine. Now, we do have some thunderstorms, including some locally severe ones in parts of Illinois, in Indiana, even a couple of heavy storms crossing the western end of Lake Erie and out into far western Ohio near the Indiana state line this evening. We are expecting our rain chances to go up as we head through the night tonight. Our futurecast, no doubt, is a little overdone with the extent of the precipitation here at 11 p.m., but the overall idea on the timing is probably okay. I do think the highest risk for showers, a local thunderstorm, will be in the wee hours of the morning, 3, 4 a.m., on average. As most people get up on a Thursday morning, I think this is going to be hit or miss stuff. Not everyone's going to see it, but there can be a shower or even a localized thunderstorm at the start of the day Thursday. And that threat for real intermittent or hit or miss stuff will continue until about mid-afternoon. But notice our hourly rain chances are all pretty low. I think this is going to be widely scattered stuff. If you have outdoor plans on Thursday and you're unlucky, you'll get under a downpour. But most of us probably won't see too many of those throughout the day. And if you have outdoor plans late in the day, I think you're in pretty good shape by the end of the afternoon and heading into the evening as well. The Storm Prediction Center, as I talked about on this video last night, I suspected they would shift this east, and they did. The low-end risk of severe weather for tomorrow. I'm not concerned about severe weather really at all here. In fact, the thunder might be kind of hard to come by after about daybreak. Our best chance for thunder may be late tonight. I don't see a lot of thunder coming our way tomorrow. Could there be a localized thunder shower here and there? Yeah, that's possible. But the kind of thing that's going to lead to severe weather, hail, damaging winds, no, I don't think so. So here's a look at tomorrow on our in-house model here. There's kind of two fronts heading our way. This initial one doesn't have much of an air mass change behind it. It's more of a slight wind shift. It's kind of a front that's dying. And that's why I don't think there's going to be a ton of precipitation with it during the daylight hours tomorrow morning. Now, as we get into the afternoon, again, a couple of stragglers. I can't rule it out through about 2, 3 a.m., or 3 p.m., I should say. But again, the overall rain chances are pretty low. Some clearing then for tomorrow night. Now, this is when the forecast starts to get tricky. Clouds will roll back in by daybreak or so on Friday. And Friday's forecast in really Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the early next week, this all gets real tricky because this boundary is going to be wobbling around for several days, it looks like. That's always fun. Meaning our forecast confidence in temperatures, precipitation, timing of precipitation, all fairly low because it all just depends on little subtle wiggles in this frontal boundary. I do think that we'll be on the northern end of this on Friday, the cooler side of this front. And it's going to try to rain a little bit from time to time. Now, the exact timing of this on Friday, I suspect it's mostly afternoon, although we might get a little initial round in the morning as well. It's a tough call on Friday. There's a lot of model differences. I think it'll try to rain from time to time into Friday night. Now, thankfully, if you have plans on Saturday, this front is likely to wobble far enough north on Saturday that we get into the warm sector. Might only be for a handful of hours, but we'll get there. Now, it's not going to be as warm as I thought previously because we're not going to get as firmly into the warm sector as it looked like before. But I do think we'll bust into some pretty decent weather for a time on Saturday before that front wiggles back south. Check out the temperature gradient here on Friday, for example. Southwestern corner of Ohio, lower 80s. Where we are, not lower 80s. And in northwest Ohio, where the wind direction might be off of Lake Erie, really from Cleveland on west, it might be hard-pressed to get out of the 40s for a lot of the day on Friday. So that's a huge temperature spread across the Buckeye State on Friday. And that huge spread will continue into Saturday. Again, we'll probably get into the warm sector, probably not the 80s but probably the 70s on Saturday. Might even approach 80 in our southern viewing area, down towards Route 30. And then once you're down towards I-70 and points south, it's summertime on Saturday, but the real tricky stuff happens up towards I-80 and points north on Saturday. Right now, my forecast is 77 Saturday. That's down from 84 that I had not long ago, but it looks like now the front's just going to be too close. We're not going to get firmly enough in the warm sector to get in on the warmth that Columbus, New Philly, Morgantown, even Pittsburgh we'll see on Saturday. All right, so it's a weekend in May. A lot of people have outdoor plans at this time of the year, graduation parties, even weddings, graduations, you name it. Everything's going on across the area on a weekend in May, it seems like. And so, we really want to try to give you the best information available as early as possible. This is our first stab at the hourly rain chances over the weekend, ramping up Saturday afternoon, ramping down on Sunday. But again, this is tricky stuff. This is tricky business. Be sure you're checking the forecast often. If you have Mother's Day holiday plans on Sunday, picnic outdoors, something like that, you're going to want to check back often. Don't just look at the forecast now and think it's set in stone, because that front is a pain in the butt, and it'll make for some tough forecasts over the next several days. So here's what I have right now for the Mother's Day forecast for Sunday. Again, subject to change, but right now I have 70. Highest risk for wet weather is probably in the morning. Now, if the front decides not to wiggle far enough south, if it stalls farther north, this might turn into a pretty rainy day on Sunday. That's the worst case scenario, but it's something I can't rule out. Now, again, this boundary is probably going to hang out somewhere in the region for a lot of next week. And that means pretty good odds of above average precipitation in the 6 to 10 day period. So early next week through the end of next week. Now, this front does not have a super sharp temperature gradient on either side of it once we get into next week. So even though we might be on the northern side of the front, the cooler side of it from time to time, I don't think it's going to mean we're suddenly going to be in the 30s and 40s. But it may not be as warm as it could be otherwise. But that being said, we're still in a generally warm pattern. So I don't think our temperature forecast, the trends overall, will be all that different than the ideas that we've been spouting for quite some time now. It's not the kind of pattern that's going to produce 90s or any sort of extreme heat, but it's also not the kind of pattern that's likely to produce a long stretch of cooler than average temperatures. I think it'll average pretty warm compared to the averages all the way through at least mid-May and probably at least into the third, if not fourth week of May. So again, May is shaping up to be a lot different than March and April. That's it for tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here tomorrow evening. I'll have an update after I get some new model information in tonight on 21 News at 11, and you've got our forecast right at your fingertips by using the Storm Tracker 21 app.